Good day. It's Sandy, your sister and your friend. I'm so grateful to be here with you today, sharing my journey with you. In my last video, I had spoken about how important it is for us to be intentional, because when we're intentional, we find that calmness raises above all of our emotions and the busyness of the thoughts in our minds, and that gets replaced with wisdom. And in that place of peace, we seem to know intuitively how to respond to different situations going on in our lives. And we can respond with joy in our hearts, which makes it really special. So getting centered and being intentional allows us to operate from our true self, which is awareness. Now, I had a great opportunity, actually a couple of opportunities these last 2 weeks in my own life where I've really put into practice all these things that I've been sharing with you and talking about. So I wanted to share those actual practical experiences with you today, and they actually led me to today's question, which was kind of surprised that I was going to get to this place, which is, what is compassion? So I want to begin my story by saying that the most important mental and emotional work that I've done so far is to let go of anything that makes me unhappy. The purpose of my life is to live from awareness, which is the enjoyment of my Creator. And He is eternal conscious bliss. And since I was made in His image, He intended for me to live in eternal conscious bliss, and as that in my own life. You would think that that would always be easy to do, but it's not during those times when I get caught up in circumstances and I identify with my thoughts rather than my true self. My thoughts have been conditioned by my life experiences, and they meander all over the place. I'm finding a lot of good teachers on this topic that I'm pursuing now, and one of them his name is Michael Singer. Now, I was in the process of reading one of Michael's books that's called The Untethered Soul when I received an email from an old friend, and she was accusing me of something that wasn't true. Now, initially I was shocked, and I started to write back and defend myself, but inside I knew that that wasn't the right answer. The universe had lined up everything exactly for what I needed at that particular moment. I was literally reading the chapter in Michael's book that's entitled The Path to Unconditional Happiness. And in that chapter, Michael writes this: If you take on the path of unconditional happiness, you will go through all the various stages of yoga. You will have to stay conscious, centered, and committed at all times. You will have to stay one-pointed on your commitment to remain open and receptive to life. The key is to learn to keep your mind disciplined enough so that it doesn't trick you into thinking this time it's worth closing. Now, if you slip, get back up. The minute you slip, the minute you open your mouth, the minute you start to close and defend yourself, get back up. Just pick yourself up and affirm inwardly that you don't want to close no matter what happens. You don't want your happiness to be conditional upon the behavior of other people. So, to help me arrive at a higher answer than defending myself, I spoke with a friend who's also exploring conscious awareness. I briefly described what had happened, and instead of focusing attention on my old friend or even on the contents of the email, we discussed, why did this email trigger me? Why did it evoke a negative response from me? Why didn't I just let this pass by like any other email? Did this email pull the trigger on explosives that I had already planted and left behind inside of me? As I examined my emotional reaction, I could see that I had piled negative history on top of this single email. Seeing this led me to feeling sorry for my old friend, and then I sympathized with her, knowing that at an earlier time in my life, I could have written a similar email to someone else. Ultimately, though, I felt compassion for her, which led me to writing a kind and encouraging response. Now, soon after that, another incident happened with my husband. He and I were working on a project together, and he had an accident that could have ended in disaster. God spared my husband from tragedy, and we were both very, very grateful. And since he wasn't injured severely, he wanted to complete the job that we had started. I complied, even though my heart wasn't in it. But once we were finished, I burst into tears. I hadn't allowed myself to become emotional while we were working, but the release valve sprang open when the job was done. My reaction surprised me. Not only that, but my sudden eruption of tears and emotion brought back a memory of an event that had happened about 40 years before. As I intentionally reviewed the old memory in view of my current tears and emotions, I realized that I had repressed that memory for 40 years, and my mind and heart were giving me the opportunity to release judgment of myself. By bringing this memory out of the darkness and into the light, I was able to see that it was something that I wasn't able to handle back 40 years ago, but I was able to handle it now. The universe was bringing into the light, a current into the light of this current event, so that I could let it go. Just as I had done for my old friend, my heart moved from pity to sympathy to compassion, but this time towards a younger me. I was learning that when we're willing to relax and let go, our minds and hearts will bring up things that we've suppressed without us ever having to search for them. We didn't even know that they were there. I was so grateful to God for bringing up this memory and for the relief that I felt in letting it go. I was beginning to understand the value of relaxing and releasing by listening to some of Michael Singer's talks on his website. I'll post a link to his books and his website in the description down below. In one of his talks, he actually addressed sympathy versus compassion. He said that all deep spirituality is included in the difference between these two emotions. There's no love deeper than compassion. He said that the core of sympathy is this: I know what you're going through. I can relate to it. I am not belittling you. I'm associating with you. Let's hold hands and cry together. Now, there's nothing wrong with sympathy. It's the psychological state where our psyches are relating with each other. And sympathy is certainly greater than not being able to sympathize with someone. But there is a way deeper place that we can be with someone, and that is called compassion. Because compassion says this: I have gone through what you have gone through, and I am beyond it. There is a place inside me and inside you that is beyond sympathy, that is beyond suffering, that is beyond what you're going through. I've seen past that. That doesn't make me better than you. I know that you are far deeper than what you're going through. I have sympathy for you, but you don't need to suffer. I can help you go beyond your experiences. Let me help you. Give me your hand. When we are evolved enough, we will know that there's no need for suffering. As awareness, we have never suffered. There's several places that are recorded in the Bible when Jesus, it says, he looked on a crowd and was moved with compassion. In each case, he demonstrated his compassion for these people by teaching them or healing them or feeding them. His compassion led him to taking actions to meet their immediate needs. These people had never heard anyone speak or act like Jesus because he acted with authority. He called these ordinary people the light of the world, and he told them to let their light shine into the world. He was telling them that they were not ordinary, but extraordinary. He was conscious and knew that he was the Christ. John 1 says that he came into the world and is the true light that enlightens every person. The true light already exists in every person, but it's been covered by the darkness that we've experienced in the world. When we become aware, our light will shine, and we will not cover it up anymore, but we'll put it on a hill to shine. For anyone with ears to hear, Jesus was raising their conscious awareness by saying, "You can do all that I do and even greater things than these." And that's the truth for all of us, my friend. As I gain more understanding of what it means to live as awareness, I'll continue to share with you. Consciousness is a gift that's inside each of us, just waiting for us to rediscover it. May my little transformations, bit by bit, help to encourage those who are ahead of me on this exploration into conscious awareness, that there are others who are waking up. And for those who are still behind me, may they be encouraged that this awakening is worth letting go of things that don't lead to happiness. We already have everything that we need. It's all just waiting to be uncovered. Thank you so much for listening. I just love being in God's family with you. Subscribe if you want to. Share a comment below. I love to hear from you. God bless you. Have a wonderful time this week. Bye-bye.